foreign policy, military policy, tensions in the Middle East, abortion, homosexuality, pornography, sexual ethics, media, technology, history, and America's godly heritage. We talk about anything that affects your faith, your family, or your freedom. So don't go anywhere, because Point of View starts right now.
Across America, live, this is Point of View. And now, Kirby Anderson.
Thank you for joining me today here on Point of View. It is Tuesday, and this is an opportunity for us to think about a couple of really important issues. The president today spoke at the United Nations. I want to talk about that in just a minute. And then to really help us understand a little bit more about what that means, we have a chance to hear from Colonel Allen West, who will be with us a little bit later this hour. Second hour, we have Jerry Tuma joining us in studio. And again, when the president spoke at the United Nations, this really was his first address to the UN General Assembly. And he gave the world leaders kind of a feel for this idea of America first. Now, I love what he said. He said, you know, I believe in America first as president, but you know what? You as leaders, you would make your country first. And so kind of set that aside fairly quickly. He also said that the United States will forever be a great friend to the world, but he also warned that his country, and this is the United States, would not be taken advantage of. A little bit later, he addressed the issue of radical Islamic terrorism and said we must stop radical Islamic terrorism because we cannot allow it to tear up our nation and indeed to tear up the entire world. Then he really focused on the two issues he wanted to make kind of central to his message. One was Iran. Talked about this 2015 nuclear deal that was established by President Barack Obama and said that world leaders cannot abide by the agreement if it provides cover, he said, for Iran eventually building up its nuclear arsenal. And then spent a fair amount of time also criticizing the United Nations in this way. He said it's a massive source of embarrassment for the United Nations that some governments with egregious human rights records sit on the UN Human Rights Council. Of course, we could talk about Iran being one, as well as China, Saudi Arabia, and others. And then focused the rest of his time on North Korea. Spent some time, for example, talking about how the United States and other nations need to work to isolate North Korea until it ceases what he called its hostile behavior, and then said if forced to defend itself or its allies against North Korea's continued threats, President Trump said we have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea. Wow. Also referred to the North Korea leader Kim Jong-un as the Rocket Man. So just a little bit of the highlights there. In studio with me today and all week during our Truth Team, Brad Fisk. And I just wanted people to know that this is the very first speech that he's given to the entire General Assembly. He spoke to the limited group yesterday. And Donald Trump certainly was tough in making some very important statements about some of these countries, the rogue countries.
You know, I was thinking if somebody else besides him was now president and had won that election, we wouldn't have heard a speech anything like today.
That is certainly nothing.
It wouldn't
like
have been
it.
even close.
Now, again, one of the things we're going to talk about with Colonel Allen West is he's got a piece. It's our second article we've posted here. Mr. President, here's what I'd tell the United Nations if I were you. And I look at it and I say, well, in some respects it was similar. But also I thought I might mention, interesting enough, the first article we have is by Colonel Allen West, Is the Rule of Law Still the Rule in America? And for people watching online, one of the things I'm holding up is our Declaration of Independence and Constitution of the United States. We always make this available to you. And Sunday was Constitution Day, so we're going to talk about the Constitution as well. And, Brad, I'm going to have a few facts and figures that illustrate only so well why we need programs like Point of View, because it is embarrassing, not just the biblical illiteracy of our country, but our constitutional illiteracy. And we'll talk about some of that with Colonel Allen West a little bit later.
Looking forward to that, because we are a very ignorant people when it comes to the understanding of the laws of our land many times. And Point of View, that's one of the reasons we exist.
There you go.
It fits right in, because we are here because others aren't telling you the same things we are, and we're telling you the truth. And we tell all the truth, not just part of it. as so many people are selective.
Well, and again, I might just mention this is part of our Truth Team. It is the second day. We had a very good day yesterday. We had a little bit of problem with the phones before, but came in strong. And again, we just encourage you to join with us as you enjoy the conversation today. We're going to have in just a little bit with Colonel Alan West, who, of course, has served in the military, served as a member of Congress, has been the head of the National Center for Policy Analysis. And now people are saying, what next? Maybe we'll ask him a little bit about what next, but he'll be fun to have. And, of course, Jerry Tuma will be with us the second hour as we talk about some of the issues in the economy.
And it is Truth Team Week. Let me explain why we do this.
Yeah.
Okay, it's very simple. We are listener-supported programming. We depend on you, the listener, to fund the ministry. You're the hero. You're the one that's at the front lines helping us to do what we do, giving voice to things that you may not hear anywhere else. That is why we're here, is to simply have you share in the blessing of getting the message of Jesus Christ out and how that all is interwoven with our culture.
Well, again, we want to encourage you as the week unfolds to consider your involvement with us. And as we've said before, for as little as $1 a day, how many times have we talked about this? Yeah. You can be a member of the Truth Team. You'll receive, of course, our Outlook magazine, our very important Bible stick that we've talked about. This is a pocket-sized MP3 player. It's about the size of a pack of gum, but it has everything you need, word-for-word translation of the New Testament, music, sound effects, 40 different voices. And for higher levels, since today, once again, we are celebrating 45 years of broadcast.
Totally amazing. And there's no other broadcast that we know of nationwide that has been on the air longer than Point of View.
We used to say, before there was a Rush Limbaugh, before there was a Sean Hannity, there was a Marlon Maddox back in 1972. Right. So in honor of those 45 years, we have an anniversary club for $45 a month. That gives you not only, of course, the Bible stick and the Outlook magazine and everything else, but this pocket-sized booklet, the one that we are making available right now, is the one on Sharia law.
That's right.
And there will be future booklets on religious liberty and transgender issues and so many others. And then finally, the Century Club is $100 a month, and that is why you will receive all those benefits and one more, the Echo Dot.
That's right. And let me just recap what you just said.
Yes.
So there's 3 giving levels, $1 a day, that's $30 a month, $360 for the year. And your gift for joining is the MP3 player, the Bible stick, the entire New Testament dramatized with sound effects, over 40 voices, word-for-word translation in the English Standard Version as a thank you gift. Okay, another level you could give at is $45 a month. And again, that's joining the Anniversary Club, honoring the legacy of Point of View. And this booklet, by the way, you're going to be able to read this in under 10 minutes. This is a single topic booklet. And so that's important, I think. And Century Club, of course, $100 a month. And we'll throw in all those other gifts along with the Amazon Echo Dot.
And that, again, is just something that we have enjoyed. As a matter of fact, today we had some people coming in, and they are going to answer the phones for us. And so we demonstrated for us, and it's just nice to say, play Point of View radio talk show, and boop, and there it is.
That's great.
And so that, of course, it'll answer all sorts of other questions. One of the other ones has said, Alexa, play us a joke. And it wasn't a great joke, so I won't repeat that. But nevertheless, there's just all sorts of benefits. And again, because we're kind of high-tech, that's the case. So if you have been listening and are ready to join with us, we are ready for you to join with us.
We are.
Again, that number is 800-347-5151. That's the pledge line. Of course, you can also go to pointofview.net. You can see some of the resources that are available there to you, and most importantly, the thank you gifts that we want to put in your hand. So all of it is available at that particular location, pointofview.net. And, of course, the number 800-347-5151. We will be talking with Alan West very soon, but we're looking for 3 of you right now that might give us a call and join us. We'll be right back.
This is Viewpoints with Kirby Anderson.
Now that the violent left-wing group Antifa is getting needed attention in the media, we face a labeling problem. Some conservative commentators have called it a domestic terrorist group, We know from an article that appeared in Politico that the Obama administration, through the Department of Homeland Security, concluded that Antifa engaged in domestic terrorist violence. Jonah Goldberg rightly explains that we should not call this group of street thugs a terrorist group. They are violent, but they aren't terrorists. He laments that defenders of Antifa say that it is a group of activists who are simply anti-fascist and that fighting fascism is some kind of get-out-of-jail-free card for lawlessness. It is not. But even if you granted such an outrageous proposition, you would still have to point to the fact that Antifa reserves the right to attack anyone, whether they are fascist or not. That includes conservative campus speakers, defenders of free speech, and even Republicans. The mayor of Berkeley canceled Free Speech Week for fear of violence. Politicians in Portland canceled their annual Rose Parade because Antifa threatened violence because the Multnomah County Republican Party was scheduled to march in the parade. Rachel Alexander described the beating Patriot Prayer organizer Joey Gibson received from Antifa. He was slapped on the head. He had someone gash him with something in his ribs. Joey was dragged backwards by his shirt, hit on the head with a flagpole, and blasted with bear spray and pepper spray. He and his friend Tiny retreated over barriers while bottles were being thrown at them. Finally, they made it to the Alameda County police line. No arrests were made except for Joey and Tiny, who were cuffed. Antifa may not be a terrorist organization, but it is a violent gang. I'm Kirby Anderson, and that's my point of view.
Take Kirby and the Point of View team with you on the go with the Point of View app. Search for Point of View Radio at the Apple or Google Play stores. Point of View, Truth Team 360, celebrating 45 years.
Hello, this is Jack Graham, pastor of Prestonwood Baptist Church and speaker of PowerPoint Ministries, and the pastor to Kirby Anderson and Suzanne. What a privilege it is for me to be their pastor, because Kirby, through Point of View Radio, is celebrating 45 years of broadcasting, an incredible witness to the Word of God and the testimony of Jesus. I would encourage all of the listeners of Point of View to support this program with your prayers and financially. I know it would be greatly appreciated. We need to keep the message of Point of View through Kirby Anderson going and going strong. God bless you. Thank you for your participation and for your encouragement to Kirby Anderson and Point of View Radio.
Point of View, Truth Team 360.
Some comments from Pastor Jack Graham, who on a number of occasions has been on this program with us. Also is one of the individuals that actually provides spiritual counsel to the President of the United States. And
That's awesome.
It is really amazing to kind of hear after the fact some of that. So again, we encourage you to join with us, and we're going to spend some time talking about the Constitution, and then we're going to talk with Colonel Alan West, but we have in studio with us Brad Fisk, and I believe we have something to announce, don't we?
I am so excited. I really am, because we have some friends of the ministry. This just happened yesterday, by the way.
Yes, it did, yes.
And they got a hold of us and said, you know what? We would like to bless the ministry, but we're not going to put the money directly into Point of View. We are going to ask that these gifts, these dollars, be doubled dollar for dollar, up to $5,000. Isn't that awesome?
That is amazing.
So that means by the end of this hour, we want to be at $10,000, because we take your 5 plus their 5. 5 and 5 is 10.
That's right.
So that's the vision we have for this hour, to have you help us achieve being fully funded for the coming year. That's what we're really excited about, is to see you give. And that phone number to get right in on this match challenge is 800-347-5151. It's a dollar for dollar match. So if you give $100, it becomes
$200.
Good job.
Yes. If my math is
and
right.
And $1 a day becomes $2 a day. The $45 a month becomes $90 a month. So it really accelerates the process if you give monthly.
And again, let me encourage you to do that. And as you pointed out, I don't know why this always happens at the last, but that's, again, the Lord showing faith to us, because on Friday, I know we did not have some of those benefits, and now we've had some people step forward and say, yes, we would really like to encourage you. We will give to the ministry, but we wanted to give other people the opportunity to see their $1 a day become $2 a day, $30 a month becomes $60 a month, $360 a year becomes $720.
That's right.
And so that's really what we encourage you to do. We have a number of people that are sitting, waiting for the phones to ring, so we're waiting for some of those phones to ring. And so let me encourage you to do that before we get Colonel Allen West on, because I know what happens. We get somebody as articulate as Colonel Allen West, then nobody wants to call. But, of course, you don't always have to call. Even while you're listening to him, you can certainly go online to the website, which is pointofview.net. We have an opportunity for you to give there. As a matter of fact, we've got a very nice graphic that says, be the one of 800 listeners to give. And then it shows you a little bit more about the Bible Stick, about the very great resource that you will receive every single month. It's a pocket-sized monthly booklet that we put together. The latest one is on Sharia law. So if you join at the $45 a month level, you'll receive that. And, of course, also the Echo Dot that is there. So all of that is at the website, pointofview.net.
And it's a gift of any amount, by the way, that will be doubled. It could be $1, it could be $10, $100, $1,000 will be doubled up to $5,000. 800-347-5151. That's a toll-free number, 800-347-5151. And you can always give to us at pointofview.net.
Let me again hold this up, because one of the things we'd be glad to send to you if you haven't already received it is the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. And we're going to be talking with Allen West a little bit about the Constitution, but let me set it up before he joins us. And that is, again, I would love to get your reaction, Brad Fisk, on this one. This was a poll done by the Annenberg Public Policy Center. That's University of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
They surveyed Americans, all Americans, and they found that, are you ready for this? 37% of those interviewed could not name any of the first 5 rights protected in the First Amendment.
Oh, you're kidding.
More than a third could not name any. So you say, what's in the First Amendment? I don't know. What's in the First Amendment? You would think they'd at least get freedom of speech, right?
You would think so.
Freedom of religion, or freedom of press. 37% of Americans.
Sad.
Now, do you see why we're going to talk about this with Allen West? Matter of fact, his piece is entitled, Is the Rule of Law Still the Rule in America? It's the first article. As you know, one of the other benefits to listening to Point of View is not just the 2-hour program, but we post these very good articles.
That's right.
And every one of these articles has a share button, so you can put that on your Facebook page and start a conversation.
I've already read all of them.
Yeah, I know you have.
but I got an advance notice.
You got advance notice, but that's one of the benefits of getting joining with us. We send you the Outlook magazine every month. Those of you at the $45 a month level receive those booklets every single month. And, of course, everybody that gives at a level of at least $1 a day, $30 a month receives the Bible Stick. But one of those, and I'm only giving you the first one here, just 37%. It just seems really incomprehensible.
You know, and that is going to contribute to the erosion of freedom.
Yes.
When you don't understand the Constitution and the words in there, then it's real easy to lose those rights.
I would think so. Okay, I'll give you another one here, and I won't overwhelm you with facts and figures, but the only, so then you say, okay, well, if 37% couldn't name any, what about those who could name one? Well, we have 48%, still less than half, that could name freedom of speech as one of those.
Oh, my goodness.
So, again, you can think of on Friday, we always talk with Kelly Shackelford or a substitute if we don't have him, like Jay Seculo, whoever it might be. And, again, that's not the first one that comes to mind. The first one is freedom of religion, establishment of religion, free exercise thereof. Well, only 48% could name that. So, again, I also remember when we had John Whitehead on, one time we said, is it possible that you've ever run into anybody that could name all 5 of the rights in the First Amendment? And he said, I'm not even sure when I talk to members of Congress I can.
I was thinking the same thing. Are members of Congress and the Senate, do they know their Constitution? Have they read it?
And that's why we're giving everybody a Constitution if they'd like to. So when you call in, we'll be glad to include that in the packet, and we'll give it to you even if you aren't going to donate. But we hope that you will donate. But again, in case you wonder, it's freedom of religion is the first one, then freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly. The one most people don't get is the 5th one, and that is the right to redress of grievances. And so he's just found that it's almost impossible, even in law school, even in Congress, to find people, other than maybe Ted Cruz and a few people like that, Mike Lee, a few of them that can name all 5 rights in the First Amendment. Well, you can see the problem we have, Brad, and that is the problem that we face in America. We have a level of biblical illiteracy. We have a level of constitutional illiteracy. So that's why we're going to be talking with Colonel Allen West. And the first article we posted is The Rule of Law Still the Rule in America? Then we'll talk about the speech that was given today by President Donald Trump in front of the United Nations.
In the past 45 years, Kirby, we have been talking about truth with a capital T. And we have all been about truth here at Point of View. And your gift will have such an impact. You're a hero for us when you come alongside of us financially. We are listener supported. We cannot do this without you. So picture no Point of View. Picture our voice being silenced, and you're going to have this huge void that is going to be very, very bad for this country. So really, in a way, you're giving to Point of View when you call at 1-800-347-5151, but you're giving to hundreds of thousands of other people so they can hear this information firsthand, so they can go to the podcasts, so they can go to the website and get the resources that we're providing every single day for you. It is vital that we hear from you, and every dollar right now that you give up to $5,000 is doubled. Okay.
So $5,000 match on the table.
That's right.
As we go to the break, let me encourage you to make that call right now, because in just a minute we're going to have Colonel Allen West on here, and nobody likes to make a call while they're getting a chance to hear from him. So let me encourage you to do that. And if you don't believe that this is important, remember the question that Mrs. Powell asked Dr. Benjamin Franklin after the Constitutional Convention. Well, doctor, what have you given us, a republic or a monarchy? And his answer was a republic, if you can keep it. When 37% of Americans cannot even name one of the 5 rights of the First Amendment, we've got a lot of work to do. And I hope that the listeners to Point of View are not in that 37%, because we are here to educate them. So we want to hear from you right now. 1-800-347-5151. 1-800-347-5151. Can we get 5 of you to call right now?
At least 5, because every dollar is doubled.
And so we'll take a break. We'll talk with Colonel Allen West right after this.
Your chance of winning the lottery is 1 in about 200 million. And for those of us who don't play, it's a lot worse. Or should I say a lot better? Anyway, the chance you're a partner with Point of View, for every 800 people who listen, 1 invests so we can be here with you. In this age of fake news, 1 in 800 plays a vital part in Point of View's work, bringing the church and the nation credible and important information, real news, news that makes a difference. Be exceptional today. Join Truth Team 360. Visit pointofview.net/team. Choose your level of support and be confident you've invested wisely. Point of View has a 45-year legacy of changed lives and changed communities. Schools, ministries, defenders of life and liberty. You make that possible. Take a couple of minutes right now and join Truth Team 360. Pointofview.net/team, or give by calling 1-800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. Point of View will continue after this.
You are listening to Point of View. The opinions expressed on Point of View do not necessarily reflect the views of the management or staff of this station. And now, here again is Kirby Anderson.
Back once again, it is Truth Team Week, and we encourage your response. And we have in studio with us Brad Fisk. And in just a minute, we're going to talk with Colonel Alan West. But how are we doing? We have a match on the table, don't we?
We have a match on the table, $5,000, thanks to some friends of the ministry that made that possible. And what that means is this. Every dollar you give, a single gift, a monthly gift, will be doubled up to $5,000. And especially during these matches, that monthly gift has such impact because you go from $1 a day immediately to $2 a day because you've released that money into our total. And the $45, it becomes $90. $100, that's the Century Club, that's $200. And, those are just suggested monthly gifts you can give at any level you feel the Lord. Just pray and obey. See what God would have you do to help Point of View. Because we're listener-supported radio, we are totally dependent on you to keep us on the air.
Well, please give us a call. Again, that number, 800-347-5151. As I mentioned, we've posted two very good articles by Colonel Alan West, who's been on the program with us many times before. He's even sat on this seat as a co-host and a guest host for us as well. First one on the rule of law. Is the rule of law still the rule in America? And, of course, we mentioned the other day, September 17th was the 230th anniversary of the Constitution. That was mentioned today in the speech that President Donald Trump gave before the United Nations. Second article there we'll get to a little bit later. Mr. President, here's what I'd tell the United Nations if I were you.
I love that.
I want to hear that one as
title,
well.
Yeah.
Colonel Alan West is very well known to our listeners as well. 22-year career in the United States Army, also represented Congress in the 22nd District in Florida. Served up until fairly recently as the executive director of the National Center for Policy Analysis. And Alan, it is just always great to have you on the program with us.
Well, Kirby, it's a pleasure to be back with you, and just God bless you. And I just want to say one thing about Point of View Radio. You know, the interesting thing is that you can't call up a person like a George Soros or Tom Steyer or a Warren Buffett or, those type of guys that are funding everything that's going on the left. So we have to do it ourselves. And you people out there, we need to make sure voices like Kirby are not relegated into the wilderness or into silence. So please support them, as I have tried to do in these years that I've moved here to Dallas.
One of the questions we have for you, and it relates to your article, is have we gotten to a point where we have such constitutional illiteracy? I pointed out this survey that was done by the Annenberg Public Policy Center, University of Pennsylvania, found that 37% of Americans in general could not name one of the 5 rights protected by the First Amendment. You can't keep a republic if you don't even know what the republic is all about, right?
Well, you're absolutely right. And most people don't know that we live in a constitutional republic. When people say that America is a democracy, they're absolutely wrong, philosophically and thereof. America is a constitutional republic. It's based upon the rule of law in our Constitution. And what we have made, what our founding fathers made, was the individual being the sovereign and supreme entity in the United States of America. And in the piece that I wrote, I told people about the little anecdotal story about I was speaking at the University of Miami to an upperclassman in political science. And after I finished speaking, we had the question and answer, and I had a young lady came up and she challenged me about, talking about faith and having served in the government, as a congressman and everything. She said, don't you see yourself as being in violation of the law of separation of church and state? I said, oh, really? I said, so where's that law found? She said, well, it's in the Constitution. And so I whipped out my little pocket Constitution. I said, I tell you what, you show me where that is written in the Constitution is right, that I'm handing you. And, of course, it wasn't there. And so what I am concerned about is when you have this level of constitutional illiteracy, when you have this, movement on our college campuses where people are not being taught about our Constitution, they're not being taught about our freedoms and liberties and from whom they emanate from, and they grow up to be the next generation of governors and senators and congressmen and maybe even presidents, that's how we end up drifting towards a constitutional monarchy instead of a republic. And so, you talk about those First Amendment rights. The very first of our First Amendment rights is the freedom of religion and free exercise thereof.
Yep.
But if we're not careful, people in government are now trying to redefine that as a freedom of worship and specify where you can worship. And that is a very intense undermining of our Constitution.
One other point I wanted to bring up, they also surveyed them to see if the average American could name the 3 branches of government. I know this is going to make your hair hurt, but I found out that 33%, 1/3, could not name one of the 3 branches of government, and only a quarter, 26%, could name all 3. And we let these people vote. Maybe that's a problem too, don't you think?
Well, of course it is, because when you have a person, as President Obama did, standing up, at a State of the Union address, and he said to the elected representatives of the United States of America at the federal government level that, I have a pen, I have a phone, and I'm going to do what I want to do. And the fact that we have representatives that stood up and clapped and cheered that, the fact that we have people that believe that, a president can go out, as President Obama did, and amending a law, the Patient Protection Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, they were not amended through the right processes and procedures of going through the legislative branch. He just did it through pen and paper at the executive branch. And when we have people that are willing to say that's fine, then we are losing that sense of being a constitutional republic. The whole argument that we're having right now about the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, DACA, the President Obama never had the power to do what he did. The enumerated power, when you talk about matters of naturalization, is in Article 1, Section 8, Clause number 4 of the Constitution, and that is to the legislative branch. Article 2, it talks about all the enumerated powers to the executive branch, and if you read that, there are only about 4 or 5 subclauses in Article 2. There's not a lot of enumerated powers that go to the executive branch. So that's what we have to understand. We don't teach civics, and if we're not teaching civics in our schools, then the next thing you know, we don't understand that our inalienable rights come from Creator. They don't come from man.
Yes. Well, we tried to do that here at Point of View. And, in your article, you talk about driving back from Oklahoma. We have listeners in Oklahoma. And you were zipping back and forth. You were listening to Fox News. You were listening to Sirius XM. Now, we've talked about Constitution Day. We're even handing out free copies of the Declaration and the Constitution. But a lot of times we ask the question, Brad likes to ask it every once in a while, what if Point of View did not exist? How many times did you hear other radio programs talk about Constitution Day other than Point of View?
I heard none. And like I said, I'm driving back down from, I spoke at Pace Center Fellowship in a little town called Mino, Oklahoma, just west of Enid. So I had a good little bit of time out there on I-35, and listening to Fox News and going over listening to Sirius XM, The Message, the Christian contemporary radio station on Sirius XM. Heard nobody say anything about the 230th anniversary of our Constitution. And if you think that there will be one place where it would be talked about, it would be on a Christian contemporary radio station. That's because the very first constitutional freedom that we have, like I said, is the ability for them to be able to play Christian music, because we have that freedom of religion. But if we're not discussing this, then the next thing you know, someone is going to stand up and believe the separation of churches is a law, which it is not. It was only a concept written by Thomas Jefferson in a letter to the Danbury Baptist Convention that specified that we did not want to have a head of state that was also the head of church, which is what King Henry VIII made himself when he created the Church of England, and therefore the state was able to prosecute and persecute people in their religious beliefs.
Well, again, Brad, one of the things I'm just thinking about is you ask the question sometimes, what if there was no point of view?
Yeah.
How many people would even know that we just had a celebration, 230th celebration of the Constitution, or one we're going to be talking about soon is the 500th anniversary of the Reformation? Where are you hearing some of that?
We're not hearing it anywhere. And that's not to put down the Gary Bowers of the world and others who were involved in public policy.
Yeah.
And we're hearing from them
we'll
in
hear
their
from
own
them
way.
Thursday.
But
yeah.
on the radio, with a show that's been on for 45 years consistently, the oldest radio program ever in the United States of America. Nobody been on the air longer. The key here is this. If we don't understand, if we don't step up and make a difference in things like what Colonel West is talking about, this is incredibly important, my friends, for you to give. If you're going to give for no other reason, I'll just ask the question, do you believe in the Constitution? Do you believe it's the rule of law? And should we not do something about all of these people, like President Obama did, straying so far away from what they really are able legally to do? Please give us a call right now, 1-800-347-5151, 800-347-5151. 5151. If you would like to see us continue to tell truth with a capital T, would you please give us a call right now or go online at pointofview.net.
We talk about rebuilding truth in a post-truth culture. We'll continue our conversation with Colonel Alan West, but another way you can give is to go to the website, pointofview.net.
That's right.
You can find this first article, very well written by Alan West, Is the Rule of Law Still the Rule in America? And in a minute, we're going to get to this other one. Mr. President, here's what I'd tell the United Nations if I were you. And I already told you what the president said, and there is some overlap, but we'll talk about that. So again, you can give by going to the website, pointofview.net. You can find those articles, or of course, you can give us a call, 800-347-5151. Let's get 5 more of you to call right now.
Right now.
800-347-5151. We'll be right back.
Every dollar's matched.
Welcome to the First Liberty Briefing. I'm Jeremy Dice. Riley Bembry returned from World War I a changed man. Upon his return, this former Army medic settled in Los Angeles and became a butcher. But the city could not contain him, and he headed into the Mojave Desert and became a prospector. By the time the Great Depression gripped the nation, other veterans of the Great War had found their way to Bembry's cabin, each seeking to escape the emotional and physical scars left from the war. Together in 1934, they erected a simple 7-foot monument atop a rocky outcropping not far from Bembry's cabin, but miles and miles from anything else. They chose a common symbol to honor war dead, a white cross, and dedicated it to honor the dead of all wars. When Bembry died in 1984, Henry Sandoz, Bembry's close friend, began to care for the Mojave Desert Veterans Memorial Cross. In 2001, someone sued. A judge would eventually order the memorial hidden from view, literally covered with a padlocked bag, while the case was decided. First Liberty had the privilege of working with Henry Sandoz, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the American Legion, and others to defend that memorial. Before he was senator, Ted Cruz volunteered his time as lead counsel on the case. Because of Henry Sandoz, Ted Cruz, Veterans of Foreign Wars, the American Legion, and First Liberty, that memorial still stands today just where Bembry placed it in honor of the dead of all wars. To learn how First Liberty is protecting religious liberty for all Americans, visit firstliberty.org.
You can learn how to protect religious freedom in the workplace, public schools, your church, the military, and more by downloading First Liberty's free Religious Liberty Protection Kits at firstliberty.org. That's firstliberty.org. If you want hope for religious freedom, go to firstliberty.org.
Point of View, Truth Team 360, celebrating 45 years.
Hey, congratulations, Kirby, to you and everyone there at Point of View who contributed to so many years of successful ministry. Point of View is a part of my daily life, and I know of no other radio program that helps its listeners to develop, articulate, and then defend a biblical worldview as successfully as yours does. For those reasons, I consider it an honor to be able to support Point of View financially, and I would encourage all of your listeners, both young and old, to prayerfully consider doing the same. So congratulations again on 45 years of effective ministry. May the Lord bless all of you there at Point of View.
Point of View. Truth Team 360.
45 years of broadcasting. Thank you from that caller, and we would love to hear from you as well. So if you not only want to give to this ministry, but you'd like to share why you give, as we did yesterday, we had one individual come on who was not only going to give, but also tithe out of his bonus that he was going to receive, because he was going to head down to deal with some of the things there in Houston. So again, you can join with us at all sorts of different levels. We have a $5,000 match on the table,
That's
Brad.
huge. That's absolutely huge.
We still have a long way to go,
We
don't
do.
we?
Well, we're $370 into the match, but that leaves $4,630 to go, thanks to a few who have helped us along the way with some single gifts and monthly gifts. Suzanne from Texas. We have another Texan with a $20 a month gift, and here's a single gift as well. So we're excited to have you be a part of the Truth Team 360, and you can do that by going online at pointofview.net, and we have some thank you gifts that we want to give you at a couple different giving levels, monthly giving levels, and those are all explained at pointofview.net. But real quick, you can call 2 to 3 minute phone call. You do not have to have the money now in hand. It is a pledge for the future, and we just would really love to have you join the team. Be the hero to us, because you donors, you're it. You're the ones that keep us going. Without you, we would be gone. So here's how you can be a part of this. 1-800-347-5151. That's 800-347-5151. 5151. I think we've got about 8 lines open right now, so there's plenty of time and room for you to get in with your gift of support at 800-347-5151. We are so dependent on you, and we're asking you to stand for truth with a capital T by giving us a call.
Privileged to have with us for just a few more minutes Colonel Alan West. And today, of course, President Trump spoke before the United Nations, talked about his America First focus. He spent some time talking about the fact the United States will forever be a great friend of the world, talked about the need to stop radical Islamic terrorism, expressed his concern about the 2015 nuclear deal with Iran, and then focused a lot of time and attention on North Korea, made it clear that if North Korea actually threatens or bombs an individual that is related to us, we will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea, referred to Kim Jong-un as Rocket Man. And Alan West, one of the other articles we've posted here is, Mr. President, here's what I'd tell the United Nations if I were you. There are a few things that he said that you would say, but what would you say if you were the President of the United States? What would you recommend that we start saying in the United Nations these days?
Well, I think that the president did a very good job of it. I would, really brought forth the issue that the first challenge that the United Nations ever had was North Korea and their invasion of South Korea in 1950. And as a matter of fact, today, the armistice that was signed to put a ceasefire in place, that armistice was not with the United States. It was with the United Nations. So the United Nations should step up to the plate and see this as a challenge to it and to its original mission of being a global collective security organization. And so they need to do what is necessary, just the same as well with, militant Islamic terrorism and what they need to do stepping up there. The president did talk about the return on investment. That's a good business term. And since he's a businessman, as far as the revenues, I think 25% of the U.S. budget comes from the United States. And when you talk about the United States and what it has done for the world, the United States brought, as a beacon of liberty, freedom, and democracy, an incredible light to shine into the darkness that was the world. And that is why so many people come to our shores. That's why the United Nations is on our shores. And I think that's something else that he needs to be able to bring to bear. And plus, it's pretty plush real estate there in Manhattan. So I think that he hit on all the major points. Of course, the detractors are always going to look at the little teeny things. But for the first time in quite some time, 8 years, we had an American president that stood up there and talked about the greatness of our country, talked about who we are, what we stand for, and talked about how we need to stand up to the enemies of liberty, freedom, and democracy that we have out there, of Russia, the China, the Iran, the North Korea. Look at what is happening in Venezuela, and also the global Islamic jihad that is spreading. So I think he did very well. But now, as you all know, the devil's in the details, the proof in the pudding. when you lay down those markers, you got to have the policies and the deterrent capability to enforce it.
Well, again, that article is available on our website. And Colonel Allen West, just before we let you go, anything you would say to our listeners? We have a $5,000 match on the table. There's an opportunity for people, if they give $100, to have it become $200. They join us for $1 a day, it becomes $2 a day. So what would you say to our listeners? Well,
I want everyone to know that as soon as I hang up speaking with you, I'll get transferred over to someone in your office, and I'm going to give $250. So, this old, Southern boy can pony up, and everyone else can pony up as well.
There you go. One time when we did something with him, Allen West said, if you don't give, I'm going to come to your home. And that scared all of us. So, Colonel Allen West, it is always a delight to have you on the program. Thank you for sitting in this chair once in a while and substituting for me as well.
Always happy to do, and you call upon me anytime, Kirby.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Brad, just before we run out of time, talk about some of the giving levels and how people can get involved.
Well, we have the Century Club. That's $100 a month, and people think, oh, my goodness. But, there's a lot of people with means and the ability to be able to do that at $100 a month, and you're going to receive several gifts, one of which is the Amazon Echo Dot. And that's an incredible device that you can listen to Point of View anytime, or you can listen to a lot of other things as well, anything on the internet there. And so that's $100 a month with the Century Club. At $45 a month, you'd be joining the Anniversary Club. And you'll get some other free gifts, as well as a single topic booklet written by Kirby Anderson. You can read it in under 10 minutes. The very first booklet shares vital information about Sharia law, and future booklet topics are going to include transgender issues, immigration, abortion, religious liberty, to name a few. And then there's the $1 a day. That's $1 a day, $30 a month, $360 for the year. And we have the Bible Stick, the pocket-sized MP3 player, preloaded with an audio drama of the entire New Testament, with music, sound effects, 40 voices, word-for-word translation of the English Standard Version. So the $1 a dayers, come on, you guys. We need like 10 or 12 of you to step up, because every dollar is doubled during this $5,000 match. And we're so excited for your participation, and we're anticipating your phone call at 1-800-347-5151. That's toll free. 1-800-347-5151. And if you want more details about the gifts, Kirby, they can go online as well.
Pointofview.net. And that's a great pointofview.net.
Thank you.
Pointofview.net. And again, we have a nice banner there that says, Be the One. We've talked about the fact that we really need you to join with us. A very small percentage, actually a fraction of a percentage, give to this ministry. And so we need you to be the one. As you go there, as Brad said, you can actually see what they look like, and I think that will encourage you to give as well. We're coming to a break right now. This is a perfect time for you to call or to visit the website. We really need to hear from you. Let's get 10 people to call in during this break, and we'll be talking with Jerry Tuma. 1-800-347-5151. Every dollar is doubled.
That's right. We'd like to clear this up by the end of this hour, so please call right now.
Can you name the longest-running talk show in television history? Can you? It was Larry King Live, which ran for 25 years. That's a good run, made possible by millions of dollars in advertising money. But did you know that this year, Point of View celebrates 45 years on the air? 45 years made possible by people like you. No program lasts that long without making a difference, and we realize the many stories we know are just the proverbial tip of the iceberg of what God has done and is doing through your giving. You make every bit of that possible. Stop what you're doing for a couple of minutes, make the call, or click on in and be the one listener out of 800 who invests in changing lives. Join the team. Do it monthly. Not investing takes no effort. Be exceptional. Be the one. Call 1-800-347-5151 or visit pointofview.net/team. 1-800-347-5151 and pointofview.net/team. Be the one. Point of View will continue after this.
I just thank God for y'all. I listen to you every day, truly. I wanted to thank y'all for everything you do each day to inform Christian families and our community about the things we can do, and just the way you're so informative. I listen to you daily and love you guys and appreciate you so much.
God bless you, Kirby, for keeping this show so on track and for the decades of wonderful help to this nation that Point of View has been. We're all big fans of your work, and we pray that God will just prosper it.
As a Christian, over the years that I've followed this program, I am constantly challenged to be on guard and to evaluate what's going on. And if for no other reason, to protect the caliber and the truth of your programming, I need to participate and to back your program financially to ensure that the truth stays out there for people to hear, to view, and to be a part of.
This is Point of View Radio.
Hi, this is Kirby Anderson. You know, each day we take on the tough issues and provide a biblical perspective to them. The topics we cover are wide-ranging: apologetics, theology, prophecy, creation and evolution, intelligent design, marriage, family, child-rearing, the millennial generation, trends in society, politics, economics, business, religious liberty, the Constitution, public policy, foreign policy, military policy, tensions in the Middle East, abortion, homosexuality, pornography, sexual ethics, media, technology, history, and America's godly heritage. We talk about anything that affects your faith, your family, or your freedom. So don't go anywhere, because Point of View continues right now.
Across America, live. This is Point of View. And now, Kirby Anderson.
Second day of Truth Team Week, and we appreciate you joining with us. And if you were not with us in the first hour, we have a $5,000 match on the table. In studio with us is Brad Fisk, and we encourage you to give us a call whenever you can, and I hope you will do that right now. 800-347-5151, 800-347-5151. Where are we on that $5,000 match?
We are a ways to go is where we are.
Yes,
$3,785 still on the table, which means every dollar you give up to that $3,785 will be matched. Dollar for dollar. Some friends of the ministry made that possible just yesterday, actually.
You know, we just get 10 phone calls from people that want to give
right.
$360 a year,
and join the
$1
Truth
a day.
Team. Yep.
It's done.
$1 a day. That's right. 10 of you at $1 a day. We have it done. You know, it's everybody working together. Team, you know, together everyone accomplishes much.
Yes.
So let's get together and get this to happen. 800-347-5151, 800-347-5151. But we're celebrating a legacy this hour.
Right. 45 years, and
amazing.
This seemed really appropriate. Now, the first hour we had a chance to hear from Colonel Alan West, and he's been joining with us in the last couple of years. But I have sitting across from me somebody that wasn't there with Marlon in the beginning, but very early on, and that's Jerry Tuma. And Jerry Tuma is a certified financial planner, president and founder of Cornerstone Financial Services. We have all the links to him on the website. But Jerry, you and Marlon Maddox go back a few years, don't you?
Boy, do we ever. I'm trying to remember. Was it 1985, 1986, somewhere in that time frame? Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Marlon had just started the satellite at that point. You know, he started out with a local talk show in Dallas. Then he started the national syndication. Of course, we talked right after that. Maybe it was 86 or 87, somewhere in that time frame. But yeah, I go a long time back with this ministry.
30 years.
It's been a phenomenal ministry. You know, Kirby, I've met people all over the country, literally. I remember speaking in a truth rally kind of thing in Oklahoma City, talking to one of the radio guys who go, yeah, Marlon Maddox changed my life, that have been impacted by this ministry going back 30 or 40 years. That's amazing. And, you know, the real issue for our country is the paradigm. It's the battle for the mind. It's how do we convince the people. And I always tell people there's two good factors we have. Number one, God is on our side. We know that. Number two, the evidence is on our side. All the empirical evidence that supports anything you want to support biblically. The humanist, secular manifesto type of thinkers, the atheists, they've tried all these solutions, but they are a way that seemeth right unto a man, the end thereof is death. And now we're starting to reap some of that death in all these parts of our society. So what we're seeing here is there's no better vanguard for truth than what you're going to have that will affect the minds, capture the hearts of people, than here at Point of View. So I would encourage people just to do their giving now. This is a great double your money. I mean, you can't double your money in the investment markets. It takes you a long time. Here you can double your money.
100% ROI, and it's guaranteed.
100% ROI, exactly, guaranteed. That's what a phenomenal deal. All you got to do is call 800-347-5151. Again, 1-800-347-5151. And some of you listening may have appreciated stock. You know, the market's been going up. It's been on a tear. You can donate appreciated stock. It's a great estate planning or tax planning tool, because the appreciation on that stock, you know, if you sold the stock, paid the taxes, you're going to have less to give to God's work. In this case, you can donate the stock and deduct the full amount of the market value of the stock. Wow. Nobody pays the tax. So unfortunately, Uncle Sam gets taken to the cleaners there, but that, I don't know. That doesn't bother me a bit. You can donate more to God's kingdom. Again, 800-347-5151.
You know, one of the things you're talking about is, again, this idea of power of information. I want to play this piece from Marlon, and what he was doing was making a commentary on this one commercial he saw with this robot and this computer. It's not important to the commercial, but he began to talk about why he did Point of View because of the power of information.
When the commercial was over, I thought about what I'd just seen, and I'll be honest, I had to admit that the people who wrote and produced that commercial had enormous insight into the power of information. They knew that whoever controls information can control people. And ladies and gentlemen, the people in charge of our national media, they do control the flow of information. In fact, they dictate the national consciousness. You stop and think about it. What do people talk about? They talk about the news as presented by television. They have opinions that are the products of watching the news on television and the interpretation of Peter Jennings, Dan Rather, and a host of other guardians of the national consciousness. They control the agenda for discussion and debate, and in fact, they tell us what to think about. And a lot of times, they tell us what to think.
So again, just going back a couple of years, some of our younger listeners might not even know the names of the ones you just mentioned, but he understood that if we are going to turn this around, we've got to interrupt this secular humanistic filibuster, and that's what Point of View was all about 45 years ago.
Look where we're at today. I mean, the media influence is so out of balance. They don't even try to hide it anymore. They're just blatant in the way they lie. They lying is what they're doing all the time, every day, and that's why we're here standing for truth, Kirby.
That's why we really want to hear from you. 1-800-347-5151. And Jerry, you've been watching this as well. You have tried to get accurate information. You know, you can't make good investments without accurate information. You know the value of information, don't you?
Absolutely. You have to have truth. And you know, one of the things that we need to understand, and I know probably all your listeners know this, but there's a difference between passing fads, things that we think of with our mind, or the philosophy, again, of the humanist and the atheist and all those other fun things. But eternal truth works 100% of the time. There's never a failure rate with anything that's 100% truth. Truth, if I drop my phone, which I'm sitting here holding my new iPhone that I hadn't quite figured out how to use yet, if I let go of it, it's not going to go up ever. It's going to go down over and over and over again. So what we have to do as believers in this culture, and even though I realize it's hard because the whole culture in many ways is just arrayed against us. It's kind of like leaning into a hurricane gale winds, and sometimes, you know, with what we're having to deal with. But the bottom line is that's our job. It's to be salt and it's to be light. It's to stand for eternal truth in love. Yes, in love. We're not going to be hateful, angry, you know, mongers of hate or fear or whatever. But the bottom line is you've got to have the truth first. Then you indoctrinate your own self, renew your mind, as it says in Romans chapter 12, with the truth. Then you spread that to others. And that's what we're going to do in this culture in the coming days.
That's right. Hey, before the end of the break here, you can give at some different giving levels. We have $1 a day. That's $360 for the year. And you're going to receive a free gift. It's an audio drama New Testament, an MP3 player about the size of a pack of gum. Comes with the headphones, the battery. It has the New Testament preloaded with music, sound effects, over 40 voices, a word-for-word translation in the ESV. That's just a gift. If you do that $1 a day or more, $360 for the year, then there's the Anniversary Club. That's $45 a month. We're going to not only give you the Bible stick, but we're also going to give you a subscription to a booklet every single month from Kirby Anderson. It's about, you can read it in under 10 minutes. It's a single topic booklet. The first one is Sharia law, correct?
That is correct.
That's right. And then the third thing we're going to do, for those who join at the $100 a month level, you're in the Century Club, and we're going to add to those other gifts an Amazon Echo Dot. So we'd love for you to give right now. Remember, $3,785 remaining in the match challenge. It's got to be cleared up by the end of this hour.
800-347-5151. We'll be right back.
This is Viewpoints with Kirby Anderson.
Now that the violent left-wing group Antifa is getting needed attention in the media, we face a labeling problem. Some conservative commentators have called it a domestic terrorist group. We know from an article that appeared in Politico that the Obama administration, through the Department of Homeland Security, concluded that Antifa engaged in domestic terrorist violence. Jonah Goldberg rightly explains that we should not call this group of street thugs a terrorist group. They are violent, but they aren't terrorists. He laments that defenders of Antifa say that it is a group of activists who are simply anti-fascist and that fighting fascism is some kind of get-out-of-jail-free card for lawlessness. It is not. But even if you granted such an outrageous proposition, you would still have to point to the fact that Antifa reserves the right to attack anyone, whether they are fascist or not. That includes conservative campus speakers, defenders of free speech, and even Republicans. The mayor of Berkeley canceled Free Speech Week for fear of violence. Politicians in Portland canceled their annual Rose Parade because Antifa threatened violence because the Multnomah County Republican Party was scheduled to march in the parade. Rachel Alexander described the beating Patriot para-organizer Joey Gibson received from Antifa. He was slapped on the head. He had someone gash him with something in his ribs. Joey was dragged backwards by his shirt, hit on the head with a flagpole, and blasted with bear spray and pepper spray. He and his friend Tiny retreated over barriers while bottles were being thrown at them. Finally, they made it to the Alameda County police line. No arrests were made except for Joey and Tiny, who were cuffed. Antifa may not be a terrorist organization, but it is a violent gang. I'm Kirby Anderson, and that's my point of view.
Take Kirby and the Point of View team with you on the go with the Point of View app. Search for Point of View Radio at the Apple or Google Play stores. Point of View, Truth Team 360, celebrating 45 years.
Hello, I'm Tim Wildman, President of American Family Association and American Family Radio. I want to congratulate Point of View radio program for 45 years of ministry. My friend Kirby Anderson's been carrying the torch ever since our dear brother Marlon Maddox passed, and I want to congratulate Kirby and the whole team there at Point of View, and we are delighted and honored to carry this program each and every day here on American Family Radio. God bless you, and may another 45 years come your way.
Point of View, Truth Team 360.
Good friend Tim Wildman talking about 45 years, and he tells the story, Brad and Jerry, of when he was kind of just getting started with Don Wildman, of course, as his father. He would actually be running the mimeograph. If you remember that,
yes.
The three of us around here remember what those are.
Yep.
And because it was so loud, he would crank up Point of View as loud as he could so everybody in the building would hear it, because he could only hear it over the noise of the mimeograph. Right. So he remembers the old days, and of course we have Jerry remembering 30 years of ministry with Marlon Maddox. So again, we have a match on the table.
We do.
And we still have a long way to go if we're going, and if we don't make that match, what happens?
Well, the money goes off the table, so we do not want to let that happen. Listen, if there was $3,785 sitting there, and it was mine if I took it and walked out of the room, but if I left it there, it's not mine, it goes away, I would pick it up.
Yes, of course you would.
So we're asking you, please, don't leave any of that money on the table. Every dollar you give, it can be a single gift of any amount, a monthly gift of any amount, it will be doubled up to $3,785, and we've got to do it with this hour. By the top of this hour, when it's gone, the money's gone. We got to get it matched.
Jerry, let me come to you for just a minute. A couple of days ago, we had Jack Alexander on. He's written this very good book on generosity, but his newest book is about fear. And he's talked about the fact that some people don't give because of fear. You've worked with people in investment, and you talk a lot about fear. We should not have fear if we're biblically based people, right?
Absolutely. I think Paul said to Timothy, God has not given us a spirit of fear. And it's interesting, he says a spirit, there. A spirit of fear. And I think sometimes we get afraid, and then sometimes we're in fear, it's almost like we get whacked with this stuff. But the bigger factor is, over time, when you think about, okay, one of these days I'm going to sit before the Lord at the great white throne judgment. And he's going to say, okay, what did you do while you were on earth? How did you use the talents? Jesus talked about the parable of the talents, where he gave each person some money to invest and see how they did. Did they do wisely or not? At the end of the day, it's not going to matter how many VCRs we have, if we even have VCRs anymore, or big screen TVs. All the stuff about life is really not eternal. It's not important. Basically, the things that you do where you're planting seeds that affect other people's lives, the cultures, the decisions people are going to make day in and day out. Millions upon millions of decisions are made every single day in this country, morally and otherwise, economically, you name it. But the bottom line is it's based upon the information they have at the time. So if you want to stand for truth here, this is the best place I know of to stand for truth. And by the way, just as a longtime friend and or partner, if you want to call me that, in the ministry, 30-plus years, I can guarantee you there's going to be very few places where you can have better stewardship in terms of how the money is being spent, dollar for dollar, to reach the maximum number of lives. I think it's an incredible opportunity for you, especially with this matching gift on the table. So I would just encourage you right now, stand for truth. Call 800-347-5151, 1-800-347-5151.
Let's hear from some callers as well, because they have given to this ministry and want to encourage you to do the same.
When my children were very small, I started listening, and even before they were school-aged, my eyes started being opened, and I started realizing that there was another religion being taught in our public schools, and I just wanted to let y'all know today I am joining. I just feel like that if the information is not there, then a lot of other ministries will not even have a chance to be where they are and do what they do.
Hey, I just wanted to say I'm really grateful for your show. I am increasingly dismayed at not only the slanted coverage that mainstream media provides, but the lack of coverage. And I currently give money to some Christian organizations, and I give somewhat to you guys, but I'm going to increase that amount because I think you guys are so important.
Yeah, I've been a regular listener to Point of View, Kirby Anderson, Penedexter, and it's been a very positive experience, and there's a lot of very relevant subjects that they invite you to have a response or reaction to or conversation about. And it's not edited. It's very free and open and very respectful dialogue.
Point of View, Truth Team 360.
Back once again, and Brad Fisk and Jerry Tuma in studio. How are we doing on the match now?
We are about halfway there, about $2,520 left to go, but we're still, that's a lot of money still, so don't give up on us now, but give us a call. 800-347-5151, 800-347-5151. Every dollar you give right now will be doubled up to that $2,500 20 level. Before we move on with topics, guys, we are grandparents. I want to talk to the grandparents and the parents for a minute. I just feel this compulsion. I have 9 children, 21 grandkids. And when I look into their little faces and I think about what the future might bring to them, frankly, you were talking about fear a minute ago. It's easy to slip into that spirit of fear. But I slip into where I'm praying for them like crazy, because I believe that is the best protection as a grandfather that I can give as a gift to my kids. And it's programs like Point of View. Listen, you were saying earlier about the stewardship of the Point of View staff. If people could come here to Dallas, Texas, and walk through this facility and see how many people are here, they do an awful lot for very small staff and not a lot of resources. Ladies and gentlemen, it is really, really important that you prayerfully consider giving a significant gift. I'd like to see 3 people at $100 a month in the next 5 minutes. to give us a call and be a part of the support team, because we must have this voice to continue to do what it's done for 45 years. 800-347-5151.
Well, a number of people on the lines right now answering phones. So again, if you by chance ever get a busy signal, just hold on, because we'll put you in queue and get you in. But it seems to me that we still have a line open for you, as one of the callers has a chance to hang up and take your call. So please give us a call, and we do have that match on the table. And Jerry, again, we talked about fear, but the other one is just prudence and stewardship. And you sort of alluded to that just a minute ago, but we need to be good stewards. And part of that is a recognition, as we talked about yesterday with Chuck Bentley, God owns it all. There's a sense in which sometimes we treat this as a tip rather than an understanding of what it is biblically. Speak to that, if you
and of
might.
course, Kirby, I always encourage people to pray about what they're to give and then be obedient. In James chapter 1 says, if any man lacks wisdom, and I know this includes women too, he needs to ask of God for what his decision should be, but then when he gets an inspiration, he should act. In other words, don't mishmash or don't be double-minded. So the bottom line here, again, Kirby, I'm just kind of reminded, as we were talking earlier, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were willing to go into the furnace of fire, which I don't think any of us is facing anything that extreme. But I think there's also hope. One of the things that Marlon had as a vision for this ministry was, I remember him saying back in the 80s, I don't believe God is finished with America yet. I think God has a lot of plans for America, and I'm even more, believe it or not, as dark as the culture seems to be getting right now, I'm more encouraged than I think I have ever been about the future of America, because I believe the Lord's going to do a lot of reformation about our systems, our economy.
Amen.
The things that are not true are going to fall away. Interestingly enough, for those of you that are not familiar with demographics, because you and I talk a lot about demographics, the youngest demographics, called Gen Z, we passed the millennials right now, they're actually more conservative than the baby boomers, even, or any of the other generations, more likely to go to church. 41% or so go to church. They believe they're anti-abortion. So there's a huge young, and this is could be the largest generation in American history that's come along. My grandson is 20 years old, going to Bible college. He's one of those. And so the issue here is we're planting seeds and hope. Thing is, folks, you can't give up hope on America and what God wants to do with America. If the Lord doesn't return in the real immediate future, he's going to use America to spread the gospel and the truth about every sector, as he's been doing for the last 200 years. This is where you get the best pledge for your money. 800-347-5151.
That's 800-347-5151. Those are wonderful words. And, I sounded despairing a minute ago. I didn't really mean to do that, because what it was an urgency. It's an urgency to give, and it's a match challenge on the table. As we go to a break, there's $2,500+ yet to go. 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. And listen, you guys can go online and do this. Pointofview.net. That's pointofview.net. Click on Be the One, and you'll see all of the gifts we're giving away at the different giving levels. But you'll also see the resources that are new every day.
Yes,
you're posting.
800-347-5151. 347-5151. When we come back, we'll talk with Jerry Tuma about some of those trends as well. All that coming up right after this.
Your chance of winning the lottery is 1 in about 200 million. And for those of us who don't play, it's a lot worse. Or should I say a lot better? Anyway, the chance you're a partner with Point of View, for every 800 people who listen, 1 invests so we can be here with you. In this age of fake news, 1 in 800 plays a vital part in Point of View's work, bringing the church and the nation credible and important information, real news, news that makes a difference. Be exceptional today. Join Truth Team 360. Visit pointofview.net/team. Choose your level of support and be confident you've invested wisely. Point of View has a 45-year legacy of changed lives and changed communities. Schools, ministries, defenders of life and liberty. You make that possible. Take a couple of minutes right now and join Truth Team 360. Pointofview.net/team. Or give by calling 1-800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. Point of View will continue after this.
You are listening to Point of View. The opinions expressed on Point of View do not necessarily reflect the views of the management or staff of this station. And now, here again is Kirby Anderson.
Final half hour here on Point of View, and it is our second day of Truth Team Week, and we really do need to hear from you. 800-347-5151. In just a minute, we're going to hear from some other callers who have had a chance to join with us and want to encourage you to do the same. In studio with me today is Jerry Tuma, again, the president and founder of Cornerstone Financial Services, and our good friend Brad Fisk. And Brad, I think you have an update on what is happening.
We do. Thanks for the progress here. And some friends helped us get to just over $1,500 remaining on the match. And we're down to the final 20 minutes. $1,500 to go. I want to say thanks real fast. A gift from California, from Texas, South Carolina, from Ohio, from Michigan. Another one from Texas. Thank you so much. Another one from Texas. And California and Georgia. Thank you so much for your giving. And don't stop now. We're not there yet. We're not time to relax yet. At 1-800-347-5151. Every dollar you give right now will be doubled from the match challenge. 800-347-5151.
Let's hear from some callers who, again, appreciate Point of View and want to challenge you to do the same by joining with us.
I've called him before, and I just wanted to say again what a great show this is. And if all Christians would listen to Point of View, I mean, you can get an education just from listening to the show. It's awesome, and I really appreciate everything you guys do.
At my church, I'm the public affairs representative. I obtain information about political affairs that are going on. I just wanted to say thank you for your programs. I listen to you every day, and you're really my inspiration to do what I do at my church. I feel capable, mostly from what I learned from your programs.
Just wanted to know how much I appreciate your program. I've been listening to it for several years, and thank you so much for the positions you take, most of all for the wisdom you exhibit, and just keep up the good work.
I just really appreciate your program, and I tell people about it all the time. But because of your program, I've been thinking about attending seminary for some years, and anyway, I started attending VES, Veritas, with Norm Geisler and those guys, and about a third of the way done with a Master of Arts in Theology, and it's I owe you great credit for that.
So I've been listening to y'all for years. I'm not a politico whatsoever. I believe in voting, yes. But if it weren't for y'all, I wouldn't know how to vote. I'm serious. I wouldn't know the first thing about voting, but I do now.
Point of View, Truth Team 360.
Just a few people that have joined with us, and we encourage you to join with us as well. We ask you to be the one. We recognize only 1 out of 800 listeners actually donate to this ministry. Jerry, we've talked about that before. It's a fraction of 1%. We just said if we just had 1% of the listeners donate, we probably wouldn't even have to do these kinds of things. So, again, we're just asking for you to be the one.
Hey, gosh, can't we double that, get to 2 of 800 at least?
I love that. Let's double the challenge and bring in $10,000.
I know. I mean, come on, folks. Starbucks, they don't deserve your money, but Point of View does.
There you go.
It's funny. One of the things, Kirby, I think is going to happen in this next season, the next 10 years, 15 years, I think Christians are going to have to vote with their money, their pocketbook. Target did what they did. By the way, their shareholders lost 40% of their value, and the market was going up 15%. We're going to have to get activists, and I'm not talking about angry, judgmental Christianity. I'm talking about vote with your feet, vote with your money. This, again, is the best way I know of to get dollars matched. I mean, good grief. It's not hardly any money at all. If we're talking $1 a day, you can do that, and one less Coke at the Coke machine. All you got to do, again, is call 800-347-5151. But it's time for us to get off the pews. It's time for us to get active as the body of Christ. Jesus, I don't think he ever said, oh, by the way, just sit there and be passive in this culture and let the culture run all over you and take over. Let the humanists disciple the nation. Oh, by the way, didn't he say something about not only sharing the gospel to all nations, but discipling the nations? How do you disciple? You train them to believe. A disciple is someone who not only fully believes, but adheres to the teachings of the master. That's what all of us that are listening to this show are all about, is being disciples, but we've got to disciple others. And this, to me, is one of the best ways to do that in every field. In government, we're supposed to be touching every area of society. That's how we're going to reform this thing and stop giving it to the humanists. Call us at 800-347-5151 to pledge. Be an action partner right now. Again, 800-347-5151.
Or don't you love Jerry
Preach
Tuma?
it, brother. Preach it.
That's really good. Again, there are benefits, as we've mentioned before. I know you don't give to get, but again, at the $100 a month level is the Century Club, and you receive the Outlook magazine, you receive the Bible Stick, you receive the very special booklet every single month. The most recent one, of course, is on Sharia law, but it's a subscription, so you'll get it every single month. And you'll get the Amazon Echo Dot, so you can listen to Point of View anytime you want and have access to that. What a great deal at $100 a month.
That's right.
And then, of course, we mentioned some of you might want to join with us because it's been 45 years, so $45 a month. Again, not a whole lot of money, but you receive certainly that booklet that we are making available every single month, as well as the Bible stick. And so those are some ways to say thank you for your gift.
That booklet is a subscription, and it's a single topic booklet, and you can read it in under 10 minutes.
That's right.
We understand you want to go. Everybody's moving fast. Nobody wants to wait anymore for anything.
Microwave society, that's for sure. Jerry Tuma, I wanted to ask you at least a question or two about trends. We have some callers who want to ask about that as well, but it seems to me that we should be looking ahead, and for every person worried about the end of the world, there's 1,000 people worried about the end of the month. But you're one of those guys that looks ahead, and because of that, you've made wise investments. And it seems to me that we should be able to read the signs of the times, right?
Absolutely, yeah. The Apostle Paul said we see through a glass darkly. He didn't say the future's completely unknowable, which is kind of the world's view of the way it works. So there are trends that you can look at ahead of time. And matter of fact, that's one of the most exciting things to me right now. Boy, it was pretty miserable before Donald Trump won the election, and then bang, things just changed overnight. And so it gives me great hope, with the Supreme Court, with, we're barely making it in, if you can call it that, with the dysfunction in Congress. But again, there are new trends that are happening. One of the things that Trump's big trend was deregulation. Business has got to be freed up because we've been put in shackles by the previous administration and all their rules and regulations. Life gets better the more rules you pass kind of thinking. It doesn't work that way. We've got to go toward freedom. We've got to go toward prosperity. I always say it this way, Kirby, if it's truth, if it's in the Bible, it works. And if it works, it's biblical. So when you apply that to economics, if you apply it to government, if you apply it to any space, but again, that's what we've got to stand for, is what is the truth. We got to understand that. But again, over and over and over again, everything that we see in terms of evidence, the empirical evidence is God's word works. And we've got to be mouthpieces for that. Tell people about it. Tell them all about why it works the way it works. Not because we're better than them, not because we know more than them, but really, again, truth counts and truth works. Again, this is the best place I know of to pledge and to help this ministry continue to launch and affect more people's lives than you probably ever have another opportunity to do. Again, the number 800-347-5151, 1-800-347-5151.
Brad, one of the things that happened in the 1990s where I wrote a book about baby boomers, and so did Jerry Tuma, and we were like voices in the wilderness saying, no, if you want to understand what's going to happen in the future, watch what's happening to the baby boom. Now, every Wednesday, as you know, tomorrow we will have our Millennial Roundtable. We recognize another group to watch are the millennials. And so if we're not claiming to be a prophet. I know, Jerry, you're not claiming to be a prophet or a son of a prophet, neither am I. But there are some trends that are pretty easy to understand. And I'm seeing now, there was something I quoted the other day from Age Wave, and I thought, isn't that funny? Now we got people quoting from Age Wave, which again was another voice in the wilderness saying, if you want to understand where the culture is going, that's the case. Now, obviously, we know who wins at the end.
We do. I've read the end of the book.
I've read the end of the book. But some of us want to know what's going to happen in the next 10 years. And this is one of the reasons why we bring people like Jerry Tuma on, to give us a sense of what's going to be happening in the future so that you can manage your finances wisely and you can manage your family wisely. And that's what Point of View is all about.
It is what it's all about. And that's what you're giving your money to. Let me just say that's the answer to the question, why should I give?
Yes.
I'm listening to you. I'm listening to Jerry. I listen every day. I go online. I take advantage of the resources. But why should I give to Point of View financially? What is the reason I should do that? And it's for the tomorrows.
Yes.
You're giving for all the tomorrows, not for today, not for yesterday, even though we're giving for a legacy and memory. That's okay. But we're giving for the next day and the next day and the next week and the next month and the next year, because that is where the battle is won. That's where life is lived out, in the trench of life. And that's when we can step in and we can, with knowledge, with biblical truth understanding, we can go up against the culture and say, no, Mr. President, you can't do that because the Constitution doesn't let you do that, and have the courage to do that instead. You help us with that, Kirby. Point of View, really, courage would be a great subword to just attach to the Point of View brand. But we're asking you right now, before this hour expires, to help us finish up the match challenge. We're not there yet, so we're still looking for your support. 800-347-5151, 800-347-5151, and pointofview.net is another way to give.
And if you go to pointofview.net, you'll see Be the One. You're also our hero, as we've said before.
Yes, you
we
are.
are listener-supported, as Jerry Tuma said just a minute ago. George Soros is not sending money and will never send money to Point of View. So we are dependent upon your gift. 800-347-5151. We have some individuals waiting to take your phone call. Please call. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the First Liberty Briefing. I'm Jeremy Dice. Riley Bembry returned from World War I a changed man. Upon his return, this former Army medic settled in Los Angeles and became a butcher. But the city could not contain him, and he headed into the Mojave Desert and became a prospector. By the time the Great Depression gripped the nation, other veterans of the Great War had found their way to Bembry's cabin, each seeking to escape the emotional and physical scars left from the war. Together in 1934, they erected a simple 7-foot monument atop a rocky outcropping not far from Bembry's cabin, but miles and miles from anything else. They chose a common symbol to honor war dead, a white cross, and dedicated it to honor the dead of all wars. When Bembry died in 1984, Henry Sandoz, Bembry's close friend, began to care for the Mojave Desert Veterans Memorial Cross. In 2001, someone sued. A judge would eventually order the memorial hidden from view, literally covered with a padlocked bag, while the case was decided. First Liberty had the privilege of working with Henry Sandoz, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the American Legion, and others to defend that memorial. Before he was senator, Ted Cruz volunteered his time as lead counsel on the case. Because of Henry Sandoz, Ted Cruz, Veterans of Foreign Wars, the American Legion, and First Liberty, that memorial still stands today just where Bembry placed it in honor of the dead of all wars. To learn how First Liberty is protecting religious liberty for all Americans, visit firstliberty.org.
You can learn how to protect religious freedom in the workplace, public schools, your church, the military, and more by downloading First Liberty's free Religious Liberty Protection Kits at firstliberty.org. That's firstliberty.org. If you want hope for religious freedom, go to firstliberty.org.
Point of View, Truth Team 360, celebrating 45 years.
Hey everybody, this is Kirk Cameron. I am so honored to be able to talk with Kirby on Point of View, and I just want to congratulate him and the entire program on 45 years of discussing the issues and inspiring the rest of us. God bless you guys.
Point of View, Truth Team 360.
Kirk Cameron in studio with us just the other day. Last year we had a Revive Us, this one a Revive Us 2 coming about, and it's just one more benefit of supporting Point of View because we alert you to various events, various movies, Christian movies. We bring in some of those individuals so that you can also, as Jerry Tuma talked about a minute ago, vote with your dollars. And when we have a good Christian film out there, look at the tremendous success of War Room, for example. And that, again, is something that you are supporting as you support Point of View.
My friend, you should think of Point of View like a big national megaphone. You know what a megaphone is, right? And we have a megaphone, and we invite all kinds of people to come tell us what they're doing, what's going on in their niche in the world in Christian values and in the Christian worldview. And by the way, a quick update on the match. It's not done yet.
Not done.
Okay,
So
we're now down to the crunch time. Okay, this is it.
7 minutes,
the last
8 minutes.
Yeah, 7-8 minutes to go to get a full $5,000 into our total. And so please don't stop calling. We have a dollar-for-dollar match on the table right now, and we're asking you for your pledge of support. 1-800-347-5151. That's toll-free, 1-800-347-5151. 5151, and you can also give online at pointofview.net. That's pointofview.net.
Let's, if we can, once again hear from some of you that have supported this ministry and want to encourage others to do the same.
I consider Point of View the most important Christian radio station I listen to. I mean, I'm addicted to it, and I love it, and I've listened to it for years.
God bless you, Kirby, for keeping this show so on track and for the decades of wonderful help to this nation that Point of View has been. We're all big fans of your work, and we pray that God will just prosper it.
I just appreciate all you guys do. I mean, I learned so much, and it's amazing what you teach that I say to other people, and they look at me like, where did you hear that? So I appreciate you guys. So thank you for all you do.
I am just so thankful for you, Kirby, and people whom God has lifted up in these last days. You are our source of, one of our sources of strength. Of course, the Lord is our first, but I just want to thank you and just ask that God would bless you.
I want to just let you know how much I appreciate just getting the truth out.
Point of View. Truth Team 360.
Back for a few more minutes. Again, we need to hear from you so we can meet that match. And again, we greatly appreciate those of you that have already called in.
Yes, we do.
We've thanked a few of you on the air, but if we haven't thanked you on air, we'll certainly thank you later on.
And thank you for those who made that $5,000 match available. We don't take that for granted either. So we're inviting you to be a part of us.
What about that? You know, we have been talking about $100 a month, and that's something. But are there some people there that maybe could give $1,000 or $5,000?
Sure,
is that a possibility?
Absolutely it is. And you know what? It's really not the size of the gift as much as it is full participation. But if you have the means to do that, pray and obey. See what God would have you do and give us a call at 800-347-5151.
And Jerry Tuma, we talked about appreciated stock. People might never have thought about that, but it is a way in which you can give, and the ministry, in this case, Point of View, would benefit, and you don't actually have any kind of major tax liability that way, do you?
No, it saves you taxes in the long run. So if you have $5,000 or $10,000 or $100,000 in a highly appreciated stock maybe you inherited from your parents, stock that you made good profits on, here we are. You know, I think the market's got a little while longer to go, maybe another year bull market, but the market is certainly high right now. Mutual funds or whatever, you can donate it directly to the ministry. We have a specialized account that's set up to handle these type of donations. And essentially what happens, it's much better, again, use the number 5,000. If you paid tax, capital gains tax on that, you're going to lose a chunk of that to the government. This way you can donate the whole amount, and the full 5,000 goes to Point of View. You get a tax deduction for the full 5,000. So it's a good way to use the charitable giving laws of the government, the IRS, to maximize your gift. Better yet, do it while we're doing the matching double. That would be even better.
I hadn't even thought about that.
That's right. 100% ROI on your investment, guaranteed right now.
Plus no taxes, no taxes.
Yes, there you go. There you go.
Well, again, just a great opportunity. Jerry, I want to thank you for your partnership here. We were talking about the fact that that's been 30 years. I mean, you must have started when you were 5 or something like that. But I mean, it is amazing, the longevity. And we talked about this just a minute ago. 45 years. There was no other live call-in talk show that has had that length of time. We've jokingly said before, long before there was a Rush Limbaugh or Sean Hannity, there was a Marlon Maddox. And I began to be a guest on with Marlon Maddox in 1980. I began to be a guest host by 1986, a co-host, and, of course, now the host. And so there is a sense of longevity in that regard, but also, again, we're giving to a ministry that has had such an impact in the past. You've heard the stories of Michelle Bachman, and I mentioned yesterday Kelly Shackelford, and all sorts of individuals that we can mention, all sorts of pregnancy resource centers years. One of the clips we just played a minute ago, somebody said, I decided to go to seminary after listening to you talk about apologetics, and on and on. But just think, Brad, what the future can be. 45 years in the past, what's the future going to be like?
You know, I think it could be wonderful, and I really am looking forward to it. I tell you, every day, and I'm such a rich man because of, especially my grandkids. I'm sorry. I'm a grandfather, and I can't help it. I have 21 grandchildren, and visiting with them and just putting squeezes on them and loving them. But what's important here, ladies and gentlemen, is that we have the freedom to do what we want to do when we want to do it, and within the law. And it's preserving those freedoms. It's understanding what the Constitution has to say. It's becoming educated. I got an idea in the last couple minutes here. We still have some match money on the table, and we need to blow that out. We cannot end the broadcast without getting that completed. So let's blitz the phone lines. Let's get 10 of you right now to dial 1-800-347-5151. That's 800-347-5151. If you get a busy signal, hang on. We got a queue where we'll capture your information. You'll wait, and then you'll get on with our operator. Please be patient with us.
Yeah, I'm reminded, Kirby, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm thinking Edward Burke, but a quote, all that's necessary for evil to prevail is for a good man to do nothing. Yes. You know, if we were in a war, you would want your troops to have some ammunition, wouldn't you? Do you want them to go into the war and have no ammo? Oh, well, sorry, we don't have any food provisions. This is the way to do it, to arm the troops. Who are the troops? The troops are us. Us, the body of Christ, we're supposed to be salt and light. And it says in the scriptures, Jesus said, if we're not salt, the only thing that's good for after that is to be thrown out and trod on by the feet of men. So the issue is the battle for America is no way, shape, or form over.
That's right.
But at the same time, I fully am convinced we will prevail in the long run again because God's on our side and the truth's on our side. But we got to get the ammo to the troops. This is the way you do it. You invest in the truth. People will have the truth, and as Jesus said, the truth will set you free. It will set America free. It will set our culture free. All you have to do is call 800-347-5151, 800-347-5151.
You've heard us talk about rebuilding truth in a post-truth culture, and again, we're educating, empowering, and equipping you to make a difference, but also as you give, you're equipping other individuals. That's the ammo as we go into the battle.
Right. And you can give 24/7, 365. Because you can go to pointofview.net, click on Be the One. You can see the gifts, fully explained and illustrated of what you get at different giving levels, and you can make your gift right there. No waiting, no busy signal. It's pointofview.net. But right now we're asking you to blitz the phone lines as we close out this hour of the program. 1-800-347-5151. 5151.
Think about the future, too. Don't forget, tomorrow is our Millennial Roundtable. We're trying to help you understand what the future of that generation is and educating a whole new generation that needs to hear that. So, again, we're educating, equipping the listeners to Point of View, and we encourage you to do so. Even though we're going off the air, you can still make that phone call. We'll take some of those calls. I've done that before. As soon as I get off the air, to take some calls as well. And, of course, you can go to the website, pointofview.net. Jerry Tuma, thank you for joining us. And Brad,
thanks, Jerry.
I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
Me too.
We'll see you back then.
Can you name the longest-running talk show in television history? Can you? It was Larry King Live, which ran for 25 years. That's a good run made possible by millions of dollars in advertising money. But did you know that this year, Point of View celebrates 45 years on the air. 45 years made possible by people like you. No program lasts that long without making a difference, and we realize the many stories we know are just the proverbial tip of the iceberg of what God has done and is doing through your giving. You make every bit of that possible. Stop what you're doing for a couple of minutes, make the call, or click on in and be the one listener out of 800 who invests in changing lives. Join the team. Do it monthly. Not investing takes no effort. Be exceptional. Be the one. Call 1-800-347-5151 or visit pointofview.net/team. 1-800-347-5151 and pointofview.net/team. Be the one. Point of View is produced by Point of View Ministries.